Have you ever felt like you're not truly an artist because you try out so many different things that you can't master one skill? You start with one, you kind of work on it a little bit, you get tired of it, so you move on to something else, and then you're like, I'm not an artist, I'll never be an artist because I can't focus on one thing. Have you felt that way? Yeah, well, I feel that exact same way. I go from thing to thing to thing. I'm working more with watercolor right now, but I also enjoyed doing acrylic paintings. I like doing different craft styles and creating different things and making up games. There's so many avenues of my creativity that I enjoy doing that I'm actually never really skilled at anything, and so I don't really consider myself an artist. But let's dive deeper into what I think most people believe is considered an artist. Let's take, for instance, something as beautiful as this. This is a painting by my husband's best friend from high school, and it's a picture of our daughter. I mean, look, it's magnificent. I mean, I would love to be able to do art like this one day, but instead, this is my art. I created, let me see if I can show it to you. This beautiful masterpiece on the wall here is something I created, and I absolutely love it as well. But it's also really basic, and you know what? That's okay. I'm not making it into a profession. And that's what I think is part of the misconception, is that as an artist, you think that those are people who have to master one particular skill. They have to be able to sell their art. They have to do it to make money. And let's be honest, a lot of artists, they call them starving artists because they can't necessarily make money. So why not choose to do something that you enjoy doing instead of putting the pressure on it? And that's gonna bring me to play. Oh my gosh, I hope I don't fall. So let's talk about play versus pressure. When an artist becomes an artist, they take on this pressure, this responsibility that they have to be perfect at what they do, because especially if you're making money from a project, it's got to be perfect, right? I don't want that. I don't want that. So can I be an artist? Oh, I'm still on this thing. Can I be an artist? I don't know. Does it matter? Not really. Can I make up what I want to be called on my own? Yes, I can. And so I decided I'm an art dabbler. I'm gonna dabble in different kinds of art. And that's why this is important. This is important. We're gonna talk about play. An artist takes on a lot of pressure. I don't want pressure. I want play. I'm actually a play therapist. I have my specialist degree in play therapy and work with kids because play is their language. And I would argue that play is everyone's language. That is how we learn, how we grow, how we make mistakes and figure out how to overcome them, okay? My house is such a mess, it's probably a bad idea. Art, play, when we start to grow up, play becomes something that we're basically told that we should not do play anymore when we're growing up. We're grown up, we don't need to play. But I think that's misleading. It keeps us from growing and discovering new things. And so art is my way of being able to I'm definitely not skilled at this, what is this called? Hoverboard. I'm definitely not skilled at this hoverboard either. But I thought it would be fun to move and talk because it's awkward to sit and stare at a camera to speak. But I digress. So, play. Art is my form of play. Maybe I should just sit still. So art is my form of play. And when we do play, we want to play with different things, don't we? And that is why I chose to be an art dabbler instead of calling myself an artist. Okay, so now I can get some movement without falling. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that being an art dabbler, and it kind of means that you have a lot of different interests and you can become talented in a lot of different ways by dabbling in different mediums and avenues. I have many different talents, I have many different interests, and I just want to be able to share that with the world. You're an artist just because you create, I mean, maybe, but let's be honest, like, how many people would really call someone an artist if they're not, like, doing it to make money from it, and if they're not particularly, like, master skill level at it? So, would you like to see my art? Would you? I don't know. Okay, because I'm going to be vulnerable here and show you why I would not consider myself an artist, even though I have created some beautiful things. I've also created some not so beautiful things. So we have already seen my super beautiful mural, which every day when I come home, I'm going to turn this around so you can see. Every day when I walk in my door, I can go in and look at that masterpiece. And I created it because it brings me joy, and I was inspired because I would love to be able to live in the mountains, but we do not. So anyway, then I have had different avenues of art that I've enjoyed. One of the pieces, I'm getting too close. One of the pieces of art I have on my mantle right now are these winter watercolor pieces. Yeah. And let me show you a little bit more specifically here. Do you see this little smudge? That's a mistake. Do you see this little smudge? It's a mistake, but I turned it into something where I'm like, oh, it's a bird's nest. And there are some things that I don't necessarily like about it, like how this water line has this marking, but I love how this tree turned out. Like, that's super cool. So there's parts of the art that come together where you think, hey, this is not looking great. But then when you pull back and you put it in perspective, you're like, that doesn't look so bad. It's kind of nice. Right? And that's kind of what the art dabbler is like. We have, let's see. We have the seal, and you can see it says curiosity. And we have a turkey that says gratitude, and a butterfly that says, hope, and the camel, which turned out amazingly, self-mastery. I really like the camel and how I was able to blend these colors well. But to me, like, this turkey, it's unrealistic. This is okay, but it's, you know, a little childlike and playful, which is fine. You know, all the pieces together kind of fit into a particular style. And then I loved my lion I created about courage. And then my whale about wisdom, which is still, not realistic, but, and then my doves, which is about love. And then I have my eagle. Oh my gosh, look at that eagle. It's terrible, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. Oh, so the thing that I wanted to talk about here was the fact that these paintings all have words on them and they have meaning to it. So everything that I do and create typically has some type of meaning. I don't usually do it for nothing. The watercolors I painted up here, I painted them specifically for January's winter decor so that I could have something on the mantle that is related to winter and practice my watercolors and the different techniques. Then these with the different words, these are the 8 virtues that I want to embody. And so if ever I'm not sure what to do in my life, I'm questioning something, I'm frustrated, upset, whatever the case may be, however I'm feeling, I can look at these paintings and decide, okay, does that mean I need to practice gratitude? Does that mean I need self-mastery and become more skilled at something? Does that mean I need a little bit more courage? Does that mean I need to discover something new and find some wisdom, right? Do I need to bring more curiosity to it? So I'm doing this with a purpose. So, I don't know, it's been a couple of years, maybe a couple of years since I started this. But this is my first completely finished art journal with all these different art pieces. So I'm going to show you some of the phases I've gone through. I want to show you the difference between when I'm playing with art and when I'm taking what I see from someone else's art and practicing that. So this is a creation that I did on my own, and this is how I feel that I'm not an artist, because when I'm not looking at something, it's not as wonderful. I don't like it as well as when I'm looking at someone else's art and trying to emulate that a little bit. So this is the first art piece in here, and it is just, I think this was my first kind of attempt at some different watercolor, I think, yeah. And then doing some outlining. They're just some different flowers and making some patterns. This one I really liked. So I was trying to use some pastels, and I took a picture of the location I was at when we were camping, and I did some pastel art with it. I liked it. And then I tried some techniques and watched a little video on how to do this, and then kind of did my own take on it. And then I tried some of these watercolor pieces. This one actually doesn't look too bad, but you can tell the stem is like a lot thicker than it should be in proportion. Okay, so the next one is me playing a lot more, and it's hideous, okay? So, or in my opinion. But anyway, I like things that have a little bit more blending, but when you practice and you play with your art, you can figure out why you don't like it, or what it, like the combination of these colors is not great for me. I do kind of like this pattern here, but then it doesn't flow well with the other things. Like no. This tells you I need practice with color theory. Yeah. So anytime that you are playing with your art, you get to discover the new things that you can learn from it. So then I found an artist that I really, really liked, and so I just took different pictures of hers and tried to do it. Of course, anytime that I do art and look at someone else's painting, it never looks the same. Here's the thing, if you didn't know this already, but painting in your style is going to be unique to you, regardless if you're looking at someone else's painting to do it or not, because you're going to have your own distinct handwriting. Like, you know how everybody has their own sort of style with their handwriting, everybody writes differently. Well, when you're painting, it's kind of the same thing. So even though you're trying to make it look one way, it's not necessarily going to turn out like that because of your own unique style, which I think is super cool. But so this series of paintings were some of my favorite that helped. When you are first starting to dabble in art, you need to feel a few successes, right? So like, I did this one, and I'm like, and then I'm like, oh, I kind of liked how this pastel looks, but it's okay. And this one was kind of okay, right? And then I started to feel a little bit more confident, and then I failed, and then I started to get way more confident when I started these. So I just absolutely loved how these were turning out. So this is some of these. This one is probably one of my favorite, having the different cactuses and stuff. And I was learning some different techniques with creating the background and then painting over it and doing some different layers, which I had never done before. You can see from these, it's been very different. Like, it's just different techniques. And then these, I really liked that one too. And then this one is oranges. And I cannot remember who the artist, Yvette or something. I don't know. I could probably find her if you really like this art. I think she teaches some of these skills. But I would never sell these or say, look at my own unique art. I did this all on my own. Now, I took what she did and I've made a few adjustments here and there. And it has my own handprint. So if you saw what she did and you look at mine, you would see that it's not like completely the same. And I loved this textured background and how I was able to do it. And then there's this one. And then these colors start to go better together. I love this one. And this is where I really got into like learning some mandala shapes. And I'll show you another mandala that I made just freehand. Okay. I think this one was one I did on my own. But this was one I think she had done something similar. And I started to get a little bit more confident in doing some different ones. And I liked this like hazel look. Yeah. If that's what it's called, I don't know. And then this is when I started to get into those virtues, and I made like a little compass to show my direction. And yeah, I was trying to do some collage, but I haven't figured out what kind of things I like to make collages. And then I did this one on my own, and it just looks a little messy, but it's all right. And then this one's okay, but it got into Christmas time, and I was like, I want to make some. Oh, no, this one is another technique I was practicing that I made on my own. I forgot the technique. You know, the one where you make like a bunch of dots in it. So that's kind of interesting. And then I started to get into Christmas time. But the type of paint I was using was not great for this, so it kept getting sticky. And then this one, this was another dud. So look, I could paint all of these really amazing things, right? And then still end up with like a dud. Like, what is that? Huh? And then it got into Valentine's. And I saw some different art pieces I liked. And tried those out. I just loved my little gnome. He's so cute. And then there's this one. And then I don't know what I was doing, but you know, it's interesting a little bit. And then I got into doing art for my wellness workshops that I was testing out. And so this one, this one was obviously a famous painting of those different circles, and I was going to talk about the life of circles, whatnot. This one is the bamboo, and it is on patience, being patient like bamboo. Then I did another compass and did a journaling prompt with that. And then another dud, like, you know, you obviously can tell that I like the mountain look, but I was trying to go for like the two-toned mountain thing, but it's just so plain because it's just one color. And then here are some other little things that I did that I thought were cool. Then I did the sunflower, and then another little flower. And then I was trying to test out some mandalas, and then my sister passed away, and I made this little candle, and she was a very bright soul, so I did some bright colored thinking about her. Then I did some more mandalas, and then this was like a Living Waters art piece that was just some chalk pastels. And then I really liked this one, even though it's probably not like great art, but it has a lot of meaning and depth to it because of the purpose I was creating in it. And like I said, my sister had just passed away, so this was sort of me. I felt like I'm blooming in my mind, and I was growing so much personally. And so that's what all of the plants represented, but the tears were representing my own internal grief. But I felt like I have so much love to give to others, and I just want my light to shine, right? And then my grief is kind of creating this puddle that's nurturing my roots and the groundedness that I carry with me. And these are the support that I have in my life. So anyway, that's kind of the meaning for that. And then I did some other example little art pieces, just some small ones. And then this was on time management and understanding how the use of our time exists, and it just goes and recycles over and over again. So it's like day and night. I thought it was interesting. Yeah. And then we have a lion again and a gratitude. Actually, I have a couple of these. This is on courage. I have a couple of these watercolor painting workshops on my channel if you want to check those out and do some of this art with me. I also really liked this piece that I found and recreated, and had this funky long fingered hand, which is fun. And then this, and this was not my favorite because I hadn't learned a good strategy for the background, but I have a better strategy for that now that I've practiced watercolor for a while. And then Had this little chameleon that I thought turned out kind of cute too. And then I have a little bridge. And this was me playing again. Some different arts. And then this was a technique that I found really interesting that someone was doing, and they were just putting dabs of paint on the paper and then taking a like saran wrap and pressing it down and then spreading the color out everywhere, and then picking it up, and it makes this amazing texture. And then you just try to find pieces that you see in it and then start drawing the pieces. So I started it, but then like I didn't end up finishing because I was like, I don't know. It just didn't click with me. So that's something that you can learn too, is like, you can try something, and if it's not clicking, you set it down. You can always come back to it if you want to. And then this was another, I don't know what I was trying to do a lot of different things within this, and it did not turn out right. But anyway, so that is my full art journal here. And then my latest one that I've started is this one, which has this, my favorite one, piece that I had done, and then my Christmas lantern, and a couple of other, pieces that I've done that are on my channel that you can watch as well. So yeah. And then my favorite all-time piece. Well, I started going to these watercolor classes. Oh, let me show you my first watercolor. So I went to my first watercolor class back in November 2024. And this was the piece that they wanted us to create. And I was like, this is so intimidating. This looks so good. I just don't think that I can do this. But look, I mean, it turned out really good. And I was so impressed with myself. But this last time that I went, she was telling us about creating 3 different types of colors, right? Like a darker, brighter color, medium color, lighter color, whatever. And then looking at the picture and then laying the colors kind of on the drawing, how it looked in the picture. So that's kind of what I did. I like just dabbled different colors, and then I kept looking, and it just looked like a bunch of blobs everywhere, and I was like, this looks hideous. I don't think it's gonna turn out well. And I when I look at it now and I just focus in on one area, I'm like, that looks not great. But then after about an hour or two of setting it down, not looking at it, and then looking at it as a whole, what? Did I do this? I did this. And I was like, wow, I'm so impressed with myself. So even an art dabbler can go from something as, what is it? Like the worst painting that I feel it's so embarrassing to show, like this, to something as beautiful as this. Am I an artist? Just because you make one great thing, to me, doesn't make you an artist. I mean, other people can have their own opinions about it, but I'm going to continue to say I am an art dabbler, and I want to be identified as an art dabbler. And if you want to be an art dabbler with me and join me in these endeavors and discover the play and the fun and the process of art, then hit the like, hit the subscribe, comment what kind of art you enjoy doing or that you're practicing right now, and go master your next moment.